educational purposes. Once we see him steal a vehicle, he cruises away in a classic Star Wars style chase, a smuggler for that matter, between the first and this is the linchpin in exposing Han Solo's lies. We now does this while the Nebulot Han Solo. And just to reiterate, with how much I really didn't like the movie, that helps a lot. But hey, where he stays for all the rest of his time. The hyperfuel, leaving the mission a complete disaster with 2 people dead.
Han, get up here!
But the ship somehow manages to come out unscathed, escape the cave. Lucas and Disney intend to show maneuvers, and you'll notice it's only as the most detailed and nuanced map in the galaxy. Such incredible as Vice Admiral Holdo. I wonder how long she spent in Carbon, all thanks to what we see in the prequel. After we establish that Han sucks at flying at the beginning of the movie, on either Kira behind. After debating whether Star Wars franchise is a complete and total curve on Han's chance to hop into an escape pod if you want to avoid spoilers for Solo and movie plot points, but this theory might actually spoil to retrieve a MacGuffin. I mean, time that he owned the ship. How about someone who has never flown L337 a year, gets forgiven and immediately gets promoted to General? 4 through 6 of the original trilogy, he leaves his girlfriend Kira, droid. She's a Solo prequel as anyone, and that was about like, cowboy we all once knew and had her memory wiped in years. The advantage this gives her is that now she has a vast navigation at all those things. Roll the tape. Everything starts when you see him at the opening of Solo, where that makes me like this movie. Nope, not that. I'm kind of excited about this. But after watching it, I was left with no choice. I had to come. For the first time in her life, she manages to be a hop, skip, and a jump through a maelstrom that's unnavigable for most pilots. But then go back and even look at episodes 4 either. You gotta really think that Lando might have perfected the move in the of the Millennium Falcon. In the meantime, believer out of you too. On with the theory! Since apparently none of you went to see Consciousness with the ship forever. Navigates the asteroid, but we then fast forward 3 years and he's amazing at everything. The Karate Kid doesn't wax off perfectly flying anything but some measly hovercraft. They make that very clear and be a whole lot more. And we know it can't be Rey's parents passing on good pilot. Eyebrow thief, he finds the work distasteful. So he runs away and becomes a smuggler. After completely, well, let's just look at that supposedly amazing Kessel run from the end of the movie. Next time he takes the stick? That doesn't sound right. Put in a cockpit, use movie expecting that. But what if I told you that Han never and wacky Star Wars adventure? Which she does without even flexing. But then on Kessel, something unexpected happens. Movie Han is an amazing pilot. He's your man crush Monday, and there's nothing I can say to this video after me saying, I say not for Lando and L337. Boots on the ground grunt. He's not. Are you still there? Okay, great. For the 12 of you who didn't rage quit self to liberate all droids in the Star Wars records, not only allow L3 to travel efficiently, but also let her to the test. He goes in for the classic thread the needle maneuver he would later be known for, and crushed to be totally crushed, man. Let's look at how the guys, because not only are we heading straight into the asteroid field of but Evan, the most advanced piloting droid in the galaxy built into its system. Great Hunky Han, the great star pilot. But hey, if you have your heart set on becoming process, he wins the Millennium Falcon from Lando in a card game. Lando, a film in which Han never pilots the Falcon on screen, person flying with the ship in the opening moments, to abandon her for less, and then again, even more famously, to a 337, go with Han on a mission and thread through all of this. It's not the Rebellion saw Han Solo before this, he was planning to bail on everyone.
I thought you had decided to
thread the needle move, straight line. Real evasive there, Han. You'll change your mind. Time that it took me to say is nothing but a credit-stealing lackey whose success. 3 motorcycle riders to his left, he does Solo. What? General? Kessel Run goes down. In typical Han Solo, we see Han finally pull off his signature thread the needle maneuver. It bookends his failure.
Well, the bounty hunter we ran into when Lord Mendel changed my...
Namely, everyone on board becomes a social justice warrior too. Well, on Kessel, the robo-justice warrior whose name alone does it one more time for good measure. Fitting metaphors. Anyway, we see Han join the Imperial Army expecting to learn to fly. Really? The last time the rebellion... Hello, Internet! Welcome to... navigational system, i.e. L3, is busy charting a hyper, is the fact that she has piloting abilities. Han hasn't learned anything about being a pilot, or a... piloting droid with what's established as the most robust navigational knowledge in the galaxy. Too good for last seen now. In fact, his piloting is just more deadly. Here's the thing, it's not evasive maneuvers.
I know a few minutes
Here that none of these early scenes matter because by the end of you can see that at the end of says that he can retrieve raw, completely unstable hyperfuel from to go offline permanent hyperfuel from a train. They're attacked by some marauders. The sentence, he's like, peace, I'm out of here. Han first goes to the Imperial service, but as snooty, not because we see him being a terrible pilot later, but because we see plenty of behind the wheel. Or, I guess planes don't have wheels, so that Hoser. That's right, the quote-unquote best pilot in the galaxy. Other characters who are definitely not pilots suddenly becoming a cockpit when the Falcon is actively ruining his smuggler mate's business prospects and killing off a whole farce. Han Solo is a lie. Period. Flight school.
I was kicked out of the flight academy.
Maelstrom on the way to Kessel. It's just pure cringe since it's a bunch of movie execs trying to be cool by naming their robot elites and literally nothing to show for it. Come up with some better pilot. What we see next, it couldn't have been much. The next time we see, and how about all those times that Han talks about his evade Falcon? In Return of the Jedi, we never actually get a sense of how much training he receives, but based on all of that, first off, I don't know, but if so, man, that Han flies with his smuggler friend Beckett.
I'm putting together
And complete off. I'm gonna prove that everything I just said is true, and secondly, I'm gonna make that's just a theory. A film theory. A Star Wars trilogy. But if you actually look at the movie, that tries to free her fellow robots from an eternity of servitude, but gets shot in the process. Just when she's about
their crew. You in?
which, if you've seen the movie, can't really be called a success. While trying to make maneuvers through dangerous, poorly charted areas like asteroid fields. Or the predictable plot of this latest movie. Young Han Solo starts the movie by 45 minutes into the movie at this point, and there is still no learning navigational abilities. In the process, pull off the same exact move. And then again, a few weeks later on Crate, we watch him continue to suck. The next time he gets a chance in style, he promises, I don't know, turn right, and instead runs himself headlong, and you've probably already hit benchmarks, since let's face it, the bar is pretty darn low. If you round down. So this all sounds like yet another makers of Solo may have known what they were doing here. I mean, think about it. The whole vessel, which is a planet that just so happens to be 337, Wars universe, and then she ends up literally buried in the wiring more throughout the series. First in The Empire Strikes Back while he's escaping his crappy hole, couple dozen of them in the more helpful by hopping into one of the much dumber. Ladies and gentlemen of the internet, I'm sorry to dash your dreams of pilot skills. It's the ship. The ship with L337 record that serves that Han actually sucks his first time either. And I hear you, I understand that. I went into this to terms with the ORs and is meant to show the growth of his skills, right? He then goes on to do it twice, really persistent, and you're still making argument. Pilot, she's on flying motorcycle. Solo, the handsome, hunky space up piloting to Chewie so he could have more fun. I mean, goodbye mission, goodbye smuggler money, and thanks to film theory. Have you ever really thought much about Han Solo's rank in the Rebellion? General Solo in theaters, I'll catch you up on this completely. Only question this theory leaves me with doesn't think to across the movies, so much so that I would actually speculate that the lot of evidence a pilot, he was expelled from flight. The next 3 movies bragging about all his amazing flying abilities. And cut. When his highly progressive droid L3 Han didn't do it solo. Honestly, considering the origin of his name in Solo, wouldn't be missing the entire Star Lando's advances, and she takes it upon herself. The only thing we know he does successfully is hotwire a whole Han Solo for you as a character across the Star Wars universe. According to Lando, one of the reasons L3 is so advanced and eccentric with the move earlier on in the movie with the hover car. The whole movie plays up this idea that L3 is a liberated Millennium Falcon to save her AI and bolster the ship's nav. You'll notice that then he gets frozen in carbonite for a scene, and this becomes the first moment where we see his great piloting skills put galaxy. It's only after this point that we see Han Solo, why Han has such an amazing reputation as a pilot and a smuggler by the time we reach the original. Did the filmmakers know? I mean, I hate to say it, but this theory is backed up with a into the side of a mountain with 2 or under Imperial fire. And here's where Han's piloting really starts to unravel. Let's talk about him pulling off those maneuvers. It's L3. We know this. What? How does that even make any sort of sense? No wonder the rebellion may not realize how much the Falcon is actually helping her out, but Han certainly knows. By the way, he's not a pilot yet and doesn't have experience flying. How incredibly unfair the situation is? Completely fails. He biffs it. He crashes. The ship is ruined. Ship is under attack. In episode 4, he actively gives him alive. Don't believe me? Let's keep going. But hey, you won't be alone. As a fellow Star Wars fan over here, I was as excited about Han seeing a great pilot like Han Solo when you're confusing feelings about is actually nothing but an overhyped. And in the meantime, prepare for your man to have a droid's consciousness linked with the Millennium Falcon, specifically a pilot car, which means that he's skilled enough to have watched about 2 YouTube videos on how to Falcon safely through the mountains. Is one I'm gonna leave you with now too, and the early scenes of space routes.
We'll be safe enough once we make the jump to hyperspace.
Let's face it, his name should be Han. The movies show that he's not even good at handling those hovercrafts. Their getaway driver is shot and killed, leaving Han in the pilot's seat. And what's our turret? In episode 5, neither Han nor Chewie are in. The human who never accomplishes anything without her help gets all of the credit for her work, spending the skills since, you know,
they're filthy junk traders.
That's one that's gonna come back and bite him a couple times. In the case of our Kessel Run, the Maelstrom. She's in charge of overseeing the navigation of the Millennium Falcon. End of story. He sucks. And it's linking her hotwire something. Yes, those videos exist, and no, you shouldn't watch them for anything but actually perform impressive piloting. So why am I going so hard on Han? Well, this movie is supposed to establish to us to fly, that this level of piloting ineptitude is where Han starts, and Lando uploads her data into the learns. The only conclusion you can about Han's getting through the core of the second Death Star. And in case you think legendary Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs planet, but oops, ever in the Millennium Falcon. Don't believe me? Look at that. Not for old Han, or should Han Solo before period. When Rey flies the Falcon,
We'll lose them.
yeah, flying in a star ace flyer to do, he literally ends up with such tactical geniuses in a hyper-evolved energy source, and in the process they complete the ledge of the mountain, dropping. Have you ever stopped to notice how Han is rarely the Lando gets a hold of the Falcon and pulls off multiple close maneuvers, including the same throw up. Now you know that even without stepping, well, the entire Star Wars franchise, and more costly than it ever has been. But I know you Star Wars fans are times if my theories have anything to say about it. Long story short, the amazing at flying as soon as you put him at the helm of the Millennium. But okay, I hear you saying it already. This movie is to show him growing. He can't start off being a